And let's go to Lee Camp. He did a clip. I think we've shown this clip on the show before, but I like his commentary around this. And I think, given what we just covered, it would be highly illustrative and help people make connections. And then we'll be back and we'll comment on this.
This is a man who still has the, as many do, still has the numbers that were tattooed on him during the Holocaust. And he starts off by showing that.
I saw in Auschwitz that if a dominant group wants to dehumanize others, so as
don't know if you heard that. He said, I saw in Auschwitz that the dominant group wants to dominate the others.
The Nazis wanted to dehumanize me. These dominant group must first be dehumanized in a way themselves by diminishing their empathy due to propaganda and indoctrination in order to be able to be as cruel as some were. Okay, but the same holds nowadays for Israel. I am appalled about how hateful, how dehuman.
I'm going to keep playing in a second, but I love that point he made. Sitting by and watching this, or celebrating it, or trying to justify it, as you know, so many celebrities have, Bill Maher and Michael Rappaport and John Lovitz and all these maniacs, as they try and justify this. But sitting by and allowing it, sitting by and accepting it, celebrating it, all of those things, it really does dehumanize you to just a powerful level, to no longer see the humanity in others. It dehumanizes you. I mean, it's kind of ironic. It'd be funny if it wasn't, if this weren't the topic, that as these people, as Israelis, at least the ones who support this, and again, I'm not acting like every Israeli supports this. There are those who don't, although the percentages are very, very high. As they support this, as they endorse this, as they celebrate this, they have actually relinquished part of their soul, part of who they are as a human. And so, ironically, as they dehumanize Palestinians, calling them animals, calling them insects, so many other things, so many other horrific things, as they dehumanize Palestinians, they dehumanize themselves. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's you know, again, horrifying. But so let's continue with what he was saying.
I am appalled about how hateful, how dehumanized, that they do not see any human aspect in any Palestinian anymore. It's terrible. The Zionists have not any right whatsoever to use the Holocaust for any purpose. They have given up everything which has to do with humanity, with empathy. For one thing, the state, the blood and soil, just like the Nazis.
So, great points being made. They have no right, he says, they have no right to use the Holocaust, to reference the Holocaust. They have no right to use that to justify their treatment of Palestinians. Having been a victim of Holocaust, having your family members be victims of Holocaust. It was my grandmother's second husband. He's not with us anymore, but so I guess it's my step-grandfather would be the term. He lost essentially his entire family in the Holocaust. He came here at age 18, came to the United States at age 18, didn't speak any language, only spoke German, and showed up without his family at 18, and entire family gone. Using that, just because your family was a victim of that, or because you were a victim of it. In this case, this is a survivor who was there. Doesn't make it okay to then genocide others. It doesn't make it okay to then perpetrate that against others. In fact, it should be, as Mr. Meyer here is clearly saying, it should be the exact opposite. You saw the horrors of it. And so you should fight to stop those horrors from being perpetrated against anyone ever again. Doesn't matter if you want their goddamn land or not. Doesn't matter if you want to steal their house or not. I mean, you shouldn't want that either. Using the Holocaust to justify a Holocaust is ridiculous and illogical, to say the least. Even if you take the morality out of it, it is completely illogical to use a Holocaust to justify a Holocaust.
Usually he's so funny. It's hard to make fun of those situations. I don't think you should make fun of those situations. I think you should make fun of the people who are trying to denigrate those situations. And much like the Holocaust, they have something called apartheid as a topic these days. You heard Lee mention Michael Rappaport. He, as of a couple days ago, he's on a quest to find apartheid in Israel. It says he's in Jerusalem and nobody seems to know where the apartheid is. And please let him know where the apartheid state in Israel is. And he's been walking for 3 hours. He thinks people are getting annoyed. And he's hoping some Twitter geniuses will give him some help. And my comment was, Rappaport here to remind you that cognicide is a real thing and that it is not reversed by having access to Twitter. So,
Oh, he clearly doesn't understand all of the Palestinian workers flooding over from like what would be northern Gaza and to southern Israel, then essentially to provide much of the infrastructural work and in Israel. And those individuals are not obviously granted any form of citizen
no
rights. They
evening
granted a
pass.
they get a limited set of rights and are often abused and have to go through these deplorable checkpoints and stand in these lines and get, essentially denigrated by the IDF forces who have to, so the whole process, he's clearly just ignorant of how this all works. He went over there. He's essentially, I'm going to utilize what Lee Camp said, but a self-fulfilling prophecy. He's walking around not even knowing the way in which it has been instituted in Israel along the border there with Gaza and southern Israel. So he has no idea what to look for, and then he's using that as a justification that doesn't exist. So clever. What a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. Yeah. He works hard for his money. So he works
Cognicide.
so hard for it, honey. So
Oh,
don't
they had
give
a
him a
good
hard time.
Bruce Stream had a really good production this week.
TrueStream has good productions every week. It's hard to keep
Yeah.
up with
Yeah,
all the
they're
goodness that comes out of
phenomenal.
Aaron and Melissa's house out there. And
Who
yeah,
released it?
the national debt that they're pointing out right there. They say the U.S. economy is war.
Yeah, Keynesianism is a mental disorder. Money velocity and all these made
Yeah.
up concepts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that looks like
Modern
a
MMT is just, it's not new and it's not modern. It's been practiced for in many different instances in economic history, and we're just on a new form of it, if you will.
now. I just had I how do I say it? Asking this for a friend. Uh, that's my way of saying it. I just had an idea. What's national debt of Israel? Like ours is like 35 trillion, but we've had it since 1913. Surely they have the same sort of central bank, probably set up 1948, and they've got some huge national debt, probably not 35 trillion, but they are likely indentured to the same bankers just like we are, right? Or not? What would be the difference? I don't know. Let's just type it in. Israel national debt clock. Right? Because they have there you go. National debt. Now, is this in shekels? What is this?
They say
Currency.
convert to USD, convert to USD, right below
Yeah,
the
there you
number
go.
there.
Thank you.
Whoa.
But that's billion, not trillion. Let's see. Seven. Yeah, this is 208 billion.
8 billion.
Tony.
Mhm.
What? Wait a minute. Hold on. I have not looked this up before, so I'm a little shocked. National debt in dollars, 208 billion. Bro, we've sent that much to Ukraine in the past 2 years. We did like 5 times that during COVID. What is the difference? Can we get some of their banker system over here? Or is that maybe that was what Aaron and Melissa were just saying? Is that what's going on? Huh. Let's go back. That seems like not a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? $208 billion. How much is fucking Zuckerberg and Elon Musk worth? Couldn't they just pay off the national debt of Israel? Wouldn't there be some sort of like ADL high five for that? Get Elon out of the dog box?
So, like, yes, in contrast to the U.S. debt, it's very little, but just the practice of debt-based economies and these sort of like loan-based economies, fiat-based economies is the principle of which is still problematic. But yeah, it certainly doesn't compare.
Now, of course, the $208 billion question, or in our case, the $35 trillion question is who is it owed to? Who is that money owed to? It's asking for a friend. I don't have any plans on self-termination. Right, Tony? Like we're not going to kill ourselves. We're not going to be Danny Castellero'd. We're not looking to be Gary Webbed or any of the other long list of names in those body counts. But these are legit questions. $35 trillion is enough dollars to ask who it's owed to. How did they all get racked up again? Did we approve this? Is this our debt that we have to pay off? Or did other people sign us up for debt that we never had informed consent on? In which case, it might need to get discharged. Well, that's topic for another conversation because we got a lot of clips from this week's news that we're going to have to take apart and help you peruse. Coming up in this next media block, we get to the title media block for this episode. It's called Palestinian Holodomor. And unfortunately, we're going to have to learn from a couple different news agencies from around the world. No single sources used on this podcast. We're going to learn about what the situation is and why people right now are eating grass seed and bugs and dead things out of the street and all sorts of other horrific things that you would not wish on your worst enemy. And yet it's being done to people who are nobody's enemy. You're going to see a bunch of kids in these videos. They're not Hamas. They're nobody's enemy. They didn't participate on 10/7 whatsoever. And yet they're being collectively punished with the approval of the world's superpowers and with the backing of our hard-earned and easily thrifted. Is that a way to say stolen? No, that's not a way to say it. Easily given over tax dollars. Because, you got to pay that. Otherwise, they put you in a cage. It's kind of like what they call the social contract since 1913.
Forceful mendicants, state-sponsored mendicants.
Yeah. Involuntary servitude
Yeah.
through indoctrination. That's coming up next. All right, let's go to the BBC is the first clip in this set.
In this hour in the Middle East, where there's growing concern over food shortages in Gaza, with the United